Enid Plainsmen Football 2015.
Hey, we're all putting gas on today.
Plainsmen Football, getting it done. Plainsmen Football, where preparation is repetition.
Ready to go.
Enid Plainsmen Football, we don't get tired. Plainsmen Football, effort, technique, and how we treat one another.
Those are the things we're going to be great at. When people look at videos, they're going to see those three things.
Now, from the Enid Television Network studios, here's head coach Steve Hayes with Steve Kime.
Wrap up, good tackle.
Hello and welcome to Plainsmen Football 2015. I'm Steve Kime, and to my right, your left, is Coach Steve Hayes. Coach, good to have you.
Great to be here. Thank you.
You're still standing, or in this case, you're still sitting. Two-a-days are behind you. Not a bad August, though.
No,
not
weather
a bad.
was
So I don't know if you had anything to
fantastic.
do with that or not, but we had a couple 80 degrees in August. I kept thinking, are we in Minnesota or someplace like that?
Yeah, no, it was nice.
Because, of course, 100 years ago when I played, or 75 to 100 years ago, August two-a-days was just so miserable because it was always so hot.
Yeah.
Did that make a difference for your practice sessions?
I think
weather?
Absolutely. I think it does. I mean, the body definitely responds to the heat differently. Hopefully, we won't have a lot of hot games in the next couple of weeks because we're not really acclimatized to that.
Right.
And so hopefully the weather will continue the way it is, but I think it makes a big difference.
Well, we're excited to bring you the Coaches Show this year, and this is in cooperation with Enid Public Schools and Dr. Darrell Floyd and also Coach Steve Hayes. We've all got together with the City of Enid and decided to put this Coaches Show together for you, and that we'll have this program for you really before each and every ball game. The first ball game coming up on a very special day, September 4th. That's my birthday.
All right.
It's probably about the third time I've reminded you that, but that's a good day for high school football to get underway, and we're days away from that. Let's look back at the two-a-days real quick. What can you take away, Coach? This is, your first year, not in coaching, but certainly with this group of boys. What can you take away from two-a-days?
I think the kids worked hard. I think that we've improved steadily every day. We've still got a ways to go, but they are working hard and they are getting better every day, and that's what it's all about. Looking forward to testing them and seeing what we've learned in our first game and celebrating your birthday with a win. But I think
that.
From a coach's standpoint, it's your last chance to really evaluate the kids and figure out where they should be placed, how their talents should be utilized. And which kids are kind of rising to the top and which kids maybe need another year before they're ready for varsity competition. So it's critically important from a teaching standpoint, from an evaluation standpoint, from a preparation standpoint, and we've had a good one.
We'll talk a little bit later on in the program about the 6A. The top 32s in the schools in the state make up Class 6A football. We'll talk a little bit about school size and stuff like that. But my question to you here at the outset, did you have the numbers of kids participating that you were thinking, okay, this is probably what we're going to have? Were there more or less, or were just right on track?
I think it was right on track.
Okay.
We knew that based on our Summer Pride program that we had great attendance and that those kids would continue to be there for practice. And so because of Summer Pride and the stuff that you do now in the summer for football, that's really, I think you really get a gauge of your numbers in May when kids come out for spring football, and then after that it's pretty much set.
I'd like to remind our viewers this is our first Coaches Show, if you will, of Enid Plainsmen Football 2015. And as the season goes along, the coaches allowed for room in the show, if you will. We'll have highlights of different games. We'll have highlights of different ball players. We'll feature different ball players. But our first discussion or our first show will be a lot of conversation with the two of us. But I'd like to just remind our viewers, as the season develops, we'll have more segments of the Coaches Show. Well, this is game week. Again, Friday, September 4th is the first game at Ponca City. What do you do on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? I know Thursday's always that easy day before the Friday game. Where your team is at now, how does that week look in preparation for you?
Game weeks are great because you get in a routine that you follow for the whole season, and so the kids know what to expect every day and can plan accordingly. Mondays, we install our game plan. That's the big priority. Starting after our first game, we'll also have JV and freshman games that night. and so that'll be a big part of our Monday as well. But we'll bring the kids in, install a game plan, begin to walk through that game plan. Tuesdays become a heavy work day. We lift and get our weight workout knocked out on Tuesday mornings, and then it's a hard practice Tuesday and Wednesday as we prepare for our opponent. We teach the game plan, rep it, and make sure that we're ready to go. And then Thursday is basically a special teams day where we finish practice in that, and then we do what we call play the game. And literally all of our practice is centered around each phase of the game. And practice becomes, first quarter, second quarter, start the game with a kickoff, and then a defensive series, and then a punt, and an offensive series. And so basically you just get a mental rep of what the game would look like through that practice. And it's more of a walkthrough type thing. It's not a full pad contact type day. And then Friday you play the game.
In preparation for the show, I'd asked Coach Hayes if there was a particular topic that he wanted to discuss in our first show. And he said, yeah, I'd like to discuss our weekly character emphasis. So, Coach, you have that opportunity right now, weekly character emphasis. What's that all about?
This year as a team, we're going to study Tony Dungy's book, Uncommon, which if you haven't read it, is a fantastic book. And basically in it, he designates a chapter for every character quality that he thinks is important and makes a person uncommon. And I love the title because nobody wakes up in the morning saying they want to be average or common. We all want to be uncommon or great. And so what makes one person become great and another person continue to live average? And so we're going to focus on that. We've looked at already what character is and what integrity is. And throughout the course of the season, we'll go through several chapters of the book and help the kids get a greater understanding of what greatness looks like.
We had an opportunity to visit with Coach Hayes a few weeks ago on our Good Morning Enid program, and we also had the helmet before us during the coaches before that show. And Coach, you were talking about all the different decals. I forgot the number of feathers that are on the headdress. Can you remind the viewers again about the significance of the headdress for this year?
Sure.
That is a new look.
It is. A headdress is for the person who is a leader. And who demonstrates leadership ability. Our kids have to earn it. There's 27 decals, and so they have to earn 27 leadership points before they can get their decal. Pretty likely that we won't have a whole lot of kids with a decal on the first game just because there wasn't enough time to earn those points, and by the second and third game you'll start seeing kids with a headdress on their helmet, and hopefully by district everybody will have earned it. But they have to have a perfect day of practice as far as they've got to come prepared, be on time, give a great effort. If they're caught helping teammates out during practice, then there's an opportunity to earn another point. Any type of leadership that they display that's true leadership, it's not entitled leadership, it's servant leadership, they get recognized for that and they get awarded points for that. Exemplary performance in the hallway or the classroom would also allow them to get points towards that helmet decal. And after they earn it, if they create a negative 10-point deficit because of choices they make that are bad choices, they can get it removed as well. And so it's a constant reminder of who they are and to be proud of that and to make a difference.
Impressive. Well, we'll talk offense, defense, and special teams, and we'll do that in just a moment. But thank you for joining us on Enid Plainsmen Football 2015 with Coach Steve Hayes. I'm Steve Keim, and we'll be back with more with the coach right after this.
Water break!
Welcome back to Enid Plainsmen Football 2015. I'm Steve Keim with Coach Steve Hayes. Coach, offense, defense, special teams. As you went through two-a-days and two scrimmage games, of those areas, what stood out for you? What was something that was the wow factor? Was it offense? Was it defense? Special teams? None of the above?
No, I think there's components of all three of those. I think offensively we have good skill positions. I think our running back position has great depth a lot of real quality players, and the return of Devin Pratt, a youngster named Marlo Hughes, Dolan Burrow, who's also had several snaps at the running back position as well. Those three guys. Across Bay, who will start linebacker, is also a good role player at running back. And then a freshman named Will Phillips. All those guys are impact players at that one position. There's not many schools that have that many kids that truly can play well at that position. So we're fortunate there. We have some very talented receivers. I think we have good speed at the receivers position. And we have good size in the offensive line. The one thing that we may lack a little bit offensively is depth in the offensive line, but the five guys that we put on the field are very good and very competent players. You know, we've had a great competition at the quarterback position with three kids really competing for that spot. And, you know, going into this first game, Colton Troxel will be potentially our starter, depending on the week of practice that we have. But it's interesting to see how the guys have competed for the job and tried to win it. And I think it makes you better when you have competition. Defensively, we have great depth at the linebacker position and some kids that are pretty good players. I'd say that's the strength of our defense. Which is good in a 4-3.
And that's a good strength to have.
It is. And, you know, in a 4-3, those are the kids that have to make plays. And I think we have great depth and very, very good quality depth there as well. And, you know, that skill interprets well and translates well to special teams as well, because the skills are the kids that make the big plays on special teams, whether it's a big electric return on punt or kickoff return, or providing good coverage. And I think anytime you have good skill and good linebacking cores, you have the potential to have good special teams, because those are kids that really comprise those groups. And so I feel good about that. We're going to be young at the kicker position, and we're going to be inexperienced at the quarterback position. So those are the areas that we'll really need the kids to grow up. But we have the potential to be good at both of those as well.
For our viewers, if you notice at the beginning of the program of the introduction that was put together by ATN's Penn Klein, that you notice a lot of the kicking, extra point, passing, just the drills, a lot of the repetition that was taking place. And Coach, one evening when I was at practice during two-a-days, I was really impressed with your receivers. And again, I've been away from practice in a long time, but I was very impressed with the receivers on the route running, and this was probably the first 2, 3, 4 practices of the season.
Yes, sir.
That they were already, I mean, they were running routes. They weren't running routes, they were running routes, and I was impressed with that. Why do you attribute
Well, I think, you know, it was the third day of practice, but you got to keep in mind that we had a couple weeks of spring football. We had summer 7-on-7. And so we've worked hard at getting good at that. We still have to get better. We still need to improve our spacing, and we could stand to catch the ball even better. You know, to me, if you touch it, you got to catch it. That's, you know, if you hands touch it, you have to catch it.
Steve,
and
you catch it?
Yeah, that's right. And so I do think that we have good talent there, and they're doing a good job. They you know, when they run their routes, they are doing well. Well,
that was really impressive to me. Again, one of the very first of the practices that we had.
Thank you.
Okay, Friday night's coming up. Friday night football and Ponca City Wildcats. And why do you know about Ponca City, or do you know anything? And if you don't know anything, what to expect about Ponca City, how does a coach prepare?
Well, I was told early on that this is one of the kids' big rivalries. I guess it's the geographic proximity, but there's not a lot of love lost between Enid and Ponca City, from what I've told, and I've never experienced it before, and so I just want to win because I want to win. But it should be fun. You know, rivalry games are a lot of fun for the kids, and so that'll be a great opportunity. It's the first game of the year for both schools, so both schools have a lot of hope and a lot of optimism. This is going to be a great year for them. And I know Ponca City was good at the JV and freshman level last year, and so they should be a competitive, good team. I think they're a program that's on the rise based on their sub-varsity experience and success, and so we're going to have to be well prepared. We're going to have to play well. Going to have to take care of the football. I think the one thing that we really need to improve on coming out of the fall camp is ball security. That's a huge change in field position when you turn it over, and it's a huge impact on the game. And so to me, to take care of the football, to tackle well, and to give a great effort, we should be fine. It should be a great game. Great way to start the year.
Thank you for joining us on Enid Plainsmen Football 2015. My special guest is Coach Steve Hayes. And Coach, I have a couple more questions. Excuse me. In the opening video, there was a phrase that we caught you on camera saying, one thing that you'll recognize or know Plainsmen football is the effort, technique and how we treat each other. And we were able to capture that on film and also put it into the opening of this show.
Yeah.
What do you mean by those 3 statements? I mean, it's obvious what the words mean, but what were you trying to capture?
You know, as a coach, every week you break down video of an opponent and you study them, and your takeaways are what their priorities are. And if you see a team that's really good in one area of the game, maybe they're really good at the kicking game, or they're really good at blocking punts, or they're really good at throwing the football and catching the football, you can tell watching the video what they emphasize, because their priorities are manifested pretty quickly through their kids' performance. And you can't be great at everything, but you have to be great at some things in order to have a good year. And we decided going into the season that there were 3 areas that we wanted to be recognizably great as far as the performance of our football team. And number 1, we wanted to give great effort at all times. Our slogan this year is "We don't get tired," and that really is an extension of that slogan, and that, you know, we're going to have high energy every time the ball is snapped. Number 2, you know, you can't control sometimes how big and fast you are, but you can control how well you play the game as far as technique is concerned. And we want to be really sound in all of our football technique. Good tacklers, good blockers, good job with our foot and hand placement and the way that we do things. And then finally, we want to love each other, because truly great teams have tremendous chemistry, and that they trust one another, they care about one another, and they play for something bigger than just themselves. And our goal and our desire is that when people watch video and watch us play this year, those 3 things are very obvious.
Very good. Appreciate that explanation.
Yeah.
Coach, I just want to remind our viewers that, again, this is in cooperation with Enid Public Schools and Dr. Floyd and yourself, that we're putting this coaches show together. It will air on Channel 11 here on the Enid Television Network, but it will also air on Channel 19, which is the Enid Public Schools channel, and also on YouTube as much as possible. You mentioned to me at practice the other day about there's some special arrangement, and this is not on a note, so forgive me for straying off of our questions here, but you mentioned something about ball games are going to be live streamed or something. Can you elaborate for our viewers?
Sure.
Say, I can't go to Ponca City, but I want to see what the football team is all about. How can they watch that?
Yeah, well, first of all, we don't discourage people from attending the game in person, because that definitely has a big impact on our team. But if something is keeping you from attending, the games will be broadcast on Channel 19 for sure. I'm not sure if 11. But our technology department, and there's a class at the high school, they're going to come together and they're going to bring each football game to the Enid community as it's played, and that includes away games. And so, great opportunity for you to watch it online if you aren't able to go to the game and see what we're doing.
And we'll probably need to find out that direct address, but chances are it's simply at the Enid Public Schools website.
Sure.
To see the live streaming part of that.
You bet. We can get some information as far as how to.
Well, Coach, we've been going about 20 minutes or so, and we have one more question, and it has to deal with Class 6A football here in Oklahoma. And you take the state's top 32 schools, and you label that as 6A and 6A football. For this year, Enid is in Division II. There's Division I, Division II, but then there will be a change next year. Just overall, because people in Oklahoma, they know that Jinx and Union and other schools, large enrollments, Broken Arrow, I should have said, have really large enrollments, and then you have other schools that aren't quite up there. So what are the challenges that schools face and coaches face with that disparity in the number of kids coming out?
I think in the game of football, there's a pretty big impact, because you require so many kids to have a good team, whereas in basketball you only have 5 starters, maybe 2 or 3 kids off the bench. A quality high school football team, the higher the level and the more kids you are, you're talking about having 40, 45 real quality players who make an impact on a game. And so obviously the larger the enrollment you have to draw from, the more competitive it is to win a position, which makes you better. And potentially, if a school's twice the size of our school, for every great running back we have, fortunately they may have 2. And so, it does have an impact. It's not an excuse, because you can only play 11 at a time, but we're going to have to do things well in order to compete well and do well, and we're looking forward to that. Obviously, it would be great to be the team in the program that knocks off a Union or Jinx and wins a state title, some other school than them. And then last 19 years, I think they've had a lock on it, and so it would be great to somebody's going to do it. Somebody eventually is going to beat them. It'd be great to be that school, and and start a new tradition of excellence here in Enid as far as championships.
Well, there were certainly times that Enid won the state championship, and there were certainly times when Oklahoma City school areas won the state.
You bet.
So it wasn't always lopsided on the east side. Coach, we need to wrap up Enid Plainsmen football 2015. A couple days away from the first Friday night game with Ponca City. What words do you offer our viewers about the game, and here's your opportunity to just talk to the fans.
Sure. You know, the success of any athletic program is a community endeavor, and our kids feel the support of the community, and it makes a big impact on their desire to play, their passion in playing. You know, the kids want to make their community proud. They want to feel like that they're supported by the community, and whatever effort that you make to come out, attend the games, cheer the kids on, give positive support and positive feedback to them, the better off they're going to be, and the easier it is going to be to grow a winning culture here in Enid, which is what we all want and we're all striving for. And I have no doubt the kids are going to make you proud in the way that they compete and carry themselves on the field. We will definitely accomplish that this year.
Coach, thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
And wish you well against Ponca City, and not wishing anything because I know you've all prepared. I've seen the practices and you've prepared hard, and so
thank you.
Wish you the best in that regard.
Thank
you for joining us on Enid Plainsmen Football 2015. I'm Steve Keim, and I look forward to bringing you future programs, and we'll look forward to visiting with you next week.
We'll see you next week with another insightful show with Enid Plainsmen head football coach Steve Hayes.
Inside out. Give it to him. Good job, partner. Go. Hey. Touch. Come back. Here we go. Fire off. I'll drive it. He's gonna. There you go. There you go. Good job.
Thank you for watching Enid Plainsmen Football 2015.